House of Representatives advocates use of coins as legal tender. House moves to petition NJC over Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act. And House seeks expansion of TED Fund mandate to accommodate the NYSC. Hello, welcome to You and Your Reps. I am Victor, and so thank you for joining us. The House of Representatives says refusal of businesses and persons to use coins as legal tender is one of the contributory factors to inflation, as prices of goods and services are summed to the nearest naira equivalent. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the House has asked the Central Bank of Nigeria to reinforce the use of coins.
In the motion from Muda Lawal Umar, the House noted that federal government expends huge sums to have coins produced as legal tender, but banks and businesses have over time refused using the various coins denominations, arguing that other countries utilize coins in transactions and wondered why the experience is different in Nigeria.
Injecting lower denominations and coins into the economy will go a long way in curbing price inflation and stabilizing the economy.
Plenary featured the second reading of Nigeria's Startup Bill, which seeks creation and development of the right environments for technology-enabled startups in view of potentials of job creation and growing the economy.
About $1.4 billion has been invested in the startup sector.
No country can grow without technology.
Those who are in the space of technological advancement required, startup means encouraging them, giving them funding. That will enable us to grow.
Also passed at second reading is the bill to amend the Northeast Development Commission Act from Mansour Soro and Khadija Bukar, and the bill to establish Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery Zaki Biam Benue State, sponsored by Richard Bandi. 7 bills were read the third time and passed, while the bill seeking the establishment of Nigeria Rural Healthcare Trust Fund was among the 10 bills that passed first reading.
Meanwhile, members of the House of Representatives have been reacting to the judgment of the Federal High Court, Umuahia, on the provisions of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022. The House has now passed a resolution to petition the National Judicial Council, describing the judgment as an encroachment and usurpation of powers of the legislature.
The judgment, now a subject of controversy, elicited comments from House members who argued that ordering the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to delete a section of the Electoral Act is contrary to the doctrine of separation of power as enshrined in the Constitution.
Members of this institution must rise against this aberration. We are not only lawmakers, we must be custodians of laws, and laws must have to be obeyed in this country.
With regard to the principles of natural justice, fair hearing, audi alternate party.
Somebody is trying to do our job. I had expected that whatever that the judiciary would do is to interpret, and in the course of interpretation, can still refer back to the National Assembly to say, please, do this.
The court cannot interpret what the legislators do not intend.
The case was taken to court, not minding that there was a mischief that the National Assembly sought to cure. I cannot sit here and allow the institution which I, at this present time, head and lead, to be ridiculed.
The House resolves to file an application to be joined in the suit and appeal the judgments. It also asks the Attorney General to stay action on the judgment until the matter is settled. The motion from Sergius Ogun calling for investigation of the various processing and administrative fees by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, and its agents on candidates was adopted.
JAMB is an examination conducting body and not primarily a revenue-generating organ of the federal government.
Also adopted was the motion from Linda Ekpazu on the need to investigate inhuman treatment meted on Nigerians in Indonesia and the appeal from Moraina Ajibola, urging authorities to provide electricity in parts of Oyo State.
The recently reported death of late Arinze Igweike On March 14, 2022, a bright and promising native of Onitsha, who was allegedly arrested in Jakarta by Indonesian immigration police for unidentified offenses and eventually died in police custody.
Construct 33/11 kVA injection substation at Igora, the Barakpa Central Local Government, and 33/11 kVA injection substation at Igangan.
Plenary featured the second reading of 5 bills, including the bill seeking establishment of Niger Delta Institute of Technology and Skills Acquisition, Beri, Rivers State, sponsored by Dumnamine Deco, and the bill to establish National Center for Furniture Manufacture in Ife's House of Osun State, sponsored by Taufika Bimbola. 11 bills passed first reading, 2 of which seek amendments to the ICPC and NDLEA Acts.
And the House of Representatives is working on a legislation that would expand the mandate of Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund. The bill seeks inclusion of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, as beneficiary of the fund.
The amendment of TET Fund Act, report of which was laid before plenary by the House Committee on Tertiary Education and Services for consideration and approval, also seeks inclusion of licensed private polytechnics, monotechnics and other federal tertiary institutions in Nigeria, such as colleges of forestry, as beneficiaries of the fund.
And to ensure that disbursement from the fund is available for monotechnics and other specialized tertiary institutions in Nigeria.
The report on the bill seeking the establishment of National Social Investment Program and its coordinating office within the ministry responsible for social development was also submitted for consideration and approval.
Having received the various submissions on the proposal, the committee was better informed to produce an improved version of the National Social Investment Program Establishment Bill.
The House passed at second reading a bill to establish Federal Teaching Hospital Makurdi, Benue State from John Day, and a bill to establish Federal College of Agriculture, Ogboimbiri in Bayelsa State, sponsored by Pre Goodluck Oseke. Meanwhile, the House is seeking justice for late Ms. Chinenye Opa, allegedly shot by security operatives in Enugu on the 18th of March 2022, as raised by Deputy Minority Leader Tobi Okechukwu.
This attack was orchestrated by suspected security agents, and it happened at Coal Camp in Enugu.
Now, when you hear the phrase executive session, you're likely to relate it with the executive arm of government or private sector boardroom. How wrong? Here we speak of an executive session in Parliament, and Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business has an explanation.
Normally, there are two types of sittings in the National Assembly. There's those sittings that are open to members of the public and the press for everybody to see, watch, and to even report on. There are those sessions that is exclusive to members of the House only. Outsiders are not allowed to hear what was discussed. So those sessions that are open to the public, normally plenary sessions, or committee meetings, they are all open to the public. But once you say executive session, it's a session that is limited to only members of the House. So every other person is asked to excuse members. So reporters, desk officers, that is verbatim reporters, are all asked to leave the chamber, and then to be left only two of the members only. and maybe a select group of audience from outside. So it is an exclusive session limited to a number of persons only.
Upon inauguration in 2019, the 9th House of Representatives declared constitution amendment one of its priorities, along with the Petroleum Industry Bill and the Electoral Amendment Bill, among others. Now, nearly 3 years down the line, while the Electoral Bill and Petroleum Industry Bill have become acts of parliament, the same cannot be said of the Constitution Amendment. What is holding up the process? We engaged a member of the Constitution Review Committee, Komsol Alphonsus Longgap, to get an insider's perspective.
We have concluded our own part. We've done it. We've done the voting and what have you. It's now left for the state assemblies to either reject some of the clauses or accept some of the clauses. We are waiting for the House of Senate, for the state assemblies. For our own, we have concluded. We have concluded on time. And we expect the state assemblies to also conclude on time so that we pass it to Mr. President for assent. It pains me all the time that every year we will spend taxpayers' money to amend the Constitution. At the end of the day, we will not conclude it. And another assembly will come and begin the same thing again. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. You can't spend this kind of billions of naira on a process that you cannot conclude. We met with the speakers of the various state House of Assemblies. We had a meeting with them. We have agreed on certain things with them. And I think by the grace of God, by our agreement, our understanding in the meeting that we held with them, I think it won't take much time. They will also pass. What you know is politics. So many interests, different political parties, and what have you. Regional interests, religion interests, and what have you. But we sat down, we were able to understand ourselves, we were able to speak to ourselves, so that we shouldn't be spending taxpayers' money on a fruitless journey. But I think by the grace of God, this 9th Assembly, we wish and we are trying by all means to achieve the amendment of the Constitution.
Nigerians have been speaking on moves by the House of Representatives to reinforce the use of coins as legal tender. Now, we engaged random people on the streets of Abuja, and here's what we got.
They wanted to bring it back now. At what expense? Are they going to control the price? Does it mean that if they bring this one, our money will our denomination, our money will have value? Does our economic is going to be buoyant? These are the questions we need to ask them.
I think the last time I saw corn was 50 kobo or so. I don't know anything that could be bought in this present market with 50 kobo. So it doesn't have any market value. Even 5 naira note does not have any market value for now.
Actually, you can't find what you can buy with coins because people doesn't even accept it. Though it's a tender currency.
So is it a normal coin for normal digital coin, or it has been long since when I was maybe around 5 years or something like?
No, it's not valuable. Except they want to turn 5 naira to coin. No, sorry, 10 naira, 20 naira, 15 naira to coin. Because you can't buy anything like 1 naira, 2 naira. No, it's not possible. There's not even pure water 10 naira again.
I think I bought something at ShopRite sometime 2 years ago, and part of the change they gave me with coins, and it's practically useless.
I can't use coins for any transactions. How do I hold it? In my pocket? In my wallet? How? Come on, we have outgrown that place. We should put that behind us.
This week on You and Your Reps, we turn attention to the House Committee on Commerce. We engaged Chairman of the committee, Femi Fakeye, on the ease of doing business, balance of trade, and other such issues within the committee's purview.
Our committee is saddled with oversight responsibility on several MDAs, all of which put together have the mandate to fulfill the most important issue right now for this government, which is the ease of doing business. So that whether you are talking about the Corporate Affairs Commission or the Ministry of itself, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, everything that they do, the totality of what they do is to promote commerce and business and make sure that people, either Nigerians or those who come from abroad to pursue foreign direct investment, that they all find it easy to navigate the terrain of business in Nigeria. The summary of our experience so far over the past 2 years has been that the ease of doing business is getting better and better in the country. If you try to incorporate a company 5 years ago or before that, everything was manually done. You had to go there, paperwork. Well, now it's virtually almost all online. You don't need a lawyer as such any longer to do any registration or filing. If you are computer literate enough, you could basically get this done by yourself, and they are faster. I'm aware that turnaround period for registering a company is a matter of days now. And I can tell you, sitting here, in the past, I had made an effort to register a company and it took me weeks, in some cases months, not any longer. Now it's a matter of days. And we are still pushing them to do it faster. There's no reason why you can't do it like it's done abroad in most places, where you go, spend a few minutes, and you walk out with a certificate of incorporation in your hand. You can go anywhere, they have an office to incorporate. They ask questions, you answer them, and while you stand there, they say, sir, this is a certificate of incorporation. That's the target we are hoping to achieve in Nigeria. I don't know the figures, but we are negative because, this is a consuming country, if you will. Everything about you, about me and you, in your kitchen, in your office, is imported. That is a big subject matter to me because I think it's an issue that if we don't address quickly, it's something that is very glaring where we may be ending. If you don't produce what you eat, and you don't eat what you produce, then something is missing. Take food, for instance. The only item that we have tried, and only just tried, to boost the production of is rice. Okay? Everything else is still being imported. And it's a long journey. It's not a dive to just say, okay, you know what, in 2 or 3 years, we will be having 80% things that we've used. Produced in Nigeria is impossible because it takes time. Well, I think the country is still bogged down rather than move on into industrialization. No country today that we know is a country, can claim to have a high enough standard of living for its citizens unless they are industrialized. We are far from this thing, really, in Nigeria, because just about everything we do or eat is imported. And it's a major issue, but it won't be a thing that will go away unless we have conscious planning that is sustained from one regime to another. Unfortunately, we don't have that in Nigeria as such. 1 4-year cycle, the president, if he's lucky, is returned for another 4 years, and that's it. And what he has done may not be sustained by the successor. Those are the issues. And right now, look at right now. Rather than worry about how do we get these youths employed, how do we move people from unemployment to mass employment, we are still concerned now, worrying, spending more time on who is going to be the next president, zoning, where is it going to come from? Those are the issues. We are bogged down into all those mundane, fundamental, foundational issues for the country. it is a matter of political engineering, getting the country's leadership to focus on what is needful, what is paramount. What have we done to ensure that these young people who are very energetic mentally and physically, they can be absorbed into productive efforts that will add value to the economy? Not a whole lot. The other day we were talking on the floor while debating this budget, and I got up and I said, look, loans bother me because the figures are getting higher and higher, but there's something that bothers me more. And that is the fact that the revenue of government is shrinking because we are only focusing in terms of those who pay tax, who support government. We are only focusing on the ones that are easy to track. The ones that are getting salaries, the employers become tax collection agent for those. The one that buys shares, stock exchange or the stockbrokers, they are the collection agents for those. Somebody bought a house, sold a house. You must make a profit. Okay, so you can track all those, but what about the masses of people? And a certain segment of the press tried to demonize what I said. So, see the man that says the people in the informal sector, who we know are poor. See the man who says they should be paying tax. That's because government somewhere has dropped the ball. There ought to be a tax code that says everybody here must pay must contribute something to the till based upon ability. So it is not you that will determine whether you are able to pay or not. Government will determine whether you are able to pay or not. And if you are able to pay, then you pay something to encourage this government to keep going. Otherwise, I don't know how we're going to get out of the woods.
Indeed, balance of trade is important to the development of any nation, which explains the federal government's stance that we eat what we grow and grow what we eat. Well, that's been you and your reps. Thank you for your time. I am Victor Azu. I'll see you next time.